Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here, and in this quick video I'm going to show you how to make 10 years of progress in just 1 year. Now, you might notice how a lot of people can take 10, 20, 30, 40, or maybe even 50 plus years to get rich or become successful or get some sort of result in their life they want. And if you're anything like me, when you look at 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, these seem like awfully long times to get results. And so what we want to learn to do is compress the amount of time it takes for us to get results into the shortest amount of time possible. And so instead of sitting around waiting for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years to get what you want, there's actually a way to get it way faster. And so the route that most people take to become successful and achieve something in life is they take the long road. And so what I'm going to do in this quick video is highlight the short road and show you exactly what you need to do to make 10 years of progress in 1 year or 20 years of progress in 2 years. Now, I've actually done this myself. In the last 10 years in business, I've made nearly, well, actually at this point, $40 million online, which takes most men they never do that, right? And if they did, they'd have to live for like 700 years or 800 years on the average salary, saving it all or something crazy like that to just make that amount of money. So how do you make huge amounts of progress in as short time as possible? Well, there are 6 steps. And the first step, which is very self-explanatory, is to actually figure out what you want in the first place. That's what we're going to leave it at. Step 1, what is your goal? I'm not going to get into specifics around how to set goals because you should really understand what you want. Whether that is to become a millionaire, whether that is to achieve a certain body type, whether that is to have a certain type of relationship or a certain type of financial situation in your life, just figure out what you want because it's impossible to optimize your behavior, make decisions and take actions to make progress towards something if there is nothing to make progress towards in the first place. The second step is to define levers. So when you're looking at your goal and your objective in life, let's say that this star here represents your goal. And what you'll realize is that to bridge this gap from where you are now to your goal, which is going to take some time, there's a few things that you can do. For example, if you're bodybuilding, then maybe you can try a carnivore diet, or maybe you can try a vegan diet, or maybe you can try a paleo diet, or maybe you can try 1 meal a day. Maybe you can try intermittent fasting. Maybe you can try HIIT training. Maybe you can try high rocks, maybe you can try bodybuilding, maybe you can try push-pull leg split. There's an infinite amount of variables that will allow you to achieve your goal, okay? And so what we call these things are levers. And so imagine that getting what you want in life is basically as simple as looking at all the different levers that you can pull to get what you want. And so what you're going to do in step 2 is you're going to come along, you're going to look at all the available levers to you to achieve your goal and you're going to pull them. And by pulling them, you basically make progress towards your goal. So imagine that you're on a platform here and all these levers are connected to this platform like this. And every time you come along and you pull one of these levers, then you get slightly elevated on the platform and you get sort of cranked up. And all life is, and all getting to your goal is just cranking levers. It's just pulling shit. And every time you pull, you get a little closer. The kick and the thing is that different levers have different outputs. And so what this means is lever 1 might help you make, let's say, 1 centimeter of progress along this arbitrary trajectory. Whereas lever 2 might help you make 10 centimeters of progress. This lever might actually make you make minus progress. This lever might help you make 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 9 centimeters, 50 centimeters, and minus 20 centimeters. And so let's say that we've got lever 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If you pull lever 8, then you're going to make minus 20 centimeters of progress. And this is why most people fail in life and why most people do not succeed is because they go and they pull levers that basically reduce their trajectory and they bring them down. So you make loads, when you've had this before in life where you make loads and loads and loads of progress towards a specific goal and then you start doing an action that basically pulls you away from that goal and basically ruins everything. Like we see this with people that try and lose weight and they're losing weight and then they suddenly start eating junk food and they're like every time you eat junk food you're pulling the lever that just pulls you down. And so what we want to do is avoid pulling levers that take us down, obviously, but pull levers that put us up. However, step 3, and this is the crucial step to the whole process, step 3 is isolate what we call asymmetric levers. So asymmetric basically means getting the most amount of something out of something possible for doing the least amount of work, okay? So an asymmetry is when you do something that helps you make massive amounts of progress towards your goal, which is large in proportion to how much energy you put into doing it. Let me give you a primary example for bodybuilding. Bodybuilders value the Dorito shape, right? Where you've got if you're a man, you have a really wide shoulder set at the sort of top of your body, and then you have a really small waist. And the waist to shoulder ratio tends to be the sort of mecca, like gold star metric for most bodybuilders, at least from a physical perspective, right? And so the bigger your shoulders are, the smaller your waist are, the better a bodybuilder you are, kind of at first principle, okay? In the same way that for women with bodybuilding or with girls in the gym, the goal might be to have a big waist to hip ratio. So like small waist, your big glutes, big waist, and small waist, big hips, big glutes, and that's like the sort of mecca for female bodybuilding, or at least female gym stuff. So men want to have big shoulders, small waist, women want to have small waist, big glutes, or big hips, right? And that's kind of what we have put on a societal pedestal. So if your goal is to be a great bodybuilder, then you need to have a large shoulder to waist ratio. And there is one exercise in the gym that if you do consistently, repeatedly, you will get big shoulders, and that is lateral raises. So many professional bodybuilders just swear by doing lateral raises, and they say, if I could only do one exercise for shoulders for the rest of my life, it would literally just be lateral raises, because what they do is they work on the side delts, which gives you that perception of having bigger shoulders and wider shoulders, and the wider your shoulders are, the smaller your waist looks. And so an example of an asymmetry from a bodybuilding perspective is just to do lateral raises. And so that's a lever that you can pull to achieve the aesthetic physique that you might have been looking for. And so my point here is what you need to do when you're trying to achieve your goal is you write down everything you could do, every theory, every strategy, every pathway, and you analyze all of these pathways, the levers, and then what you're going to do is you're going to look for the pathways or the actions or the strategies that will make you the most progress with the least amount of effort. And so, for example, the reason lateral raises in bodybuilding are such high leverage and so asymmetric is because they aren't that taxing on the central nervous system, because the side delt, this thing here, is not a big muscle. So it's not like doing deadlifts or squats or bench where, you know, you're exerting huge amounts of CNS potential, and you're having to recruit so many motor neurons to make that movement happen. It's not the case, because these parts of your shoulders are so small, so you can do huge amounts of volume for very little energetic cost, okay? And because of that, because it requires such little energy to do from a central nervous system perspective, but gives you such a massive result in your shoulder perception, it's asymmetric, okay? Another example of this is in business. Let's say that you want to build a successful info business, a successful course selling business. That's what I've done, okay, in my life. I built an info business. And one of the levers to get customers and make progress towards the 8-figure goal, the multi-8-figure goal, or achieving lots of money with info is making content. If you make content, you can get people's attention, you can add value, build trust, and then people will go on to buy your courses. And so a really big lever for me in my business is making content, which is why I'm making this video right now. I wouldn't be making content if it didn't help me, make progress along a trajectory in an asymmetric way. And so you need to look at, because there's 101 things that I could do right now to grow my business. There's loads. There's so many strategies, so many funnels, so many things I could do, I could write a book, I could have a tripwire funnel, I could do content, I could do this, I could do that, I could do podcast run. There's so many things to do, but I've critically assessed all of them, and I've decided that making content is the big one, so I pull that as often as I can. It takes me 20 minutes to make a video that could get 100,000 views and get me 10 to 20 customers at a 100K price point. Does that make sense? So you isolate, in this instance, the question would be, well, which lever do we want to pull the most? Well, it would be lever 7, because lever 7 gives us 50 centimeters of progress for pulling it, okay? Whereas if we pull lever 8, we go back 20 centimeters. And so the reason that most people make such slow progress, and the reason that most people take 10 years to get results, or 20 or 30 years, is because every day they wake up and they pull the wrong lever. And so let's say that you want to get rich and become a millionaire. What most people do to try and do that is they go down the career route. They go down the university route, and they try and get a job and climb the ladder. And what they're doing is having a 9-to-5 is such low leverage, and it will still get you there. You can still become a millionaire by 50 or 60 years old if you play the game right from a corporate perspective. But every day you're waking up and pulling a lever that might elevate you towards your goal by a centimeter or two. Whereas if you only started a business and started making cold calls, or started making content, or started building products or offers, or reading books on how to do a business, you're pulling levers that might make you 5 centimeters closer or 10 centimeters closer. And there's no joke here. You can literally make, by one action, 10 to 100 times more progress than people pulling actions at a lower level, like having a 9 to 5, okay? And that's why and how you can make 10 years of progress in 1 year if the action you're doing every day has 10 times the leverage or 10 times the output towards the goal, okay? So you need to isolate asymmetries, and let's just spray this down here because that's a lot of purple. And yes, I am literally going to use my gym vest to do this, which I will not wear to the gym later, do not worry. It'd look a bit zesty if I wore a purple vest into the gym, wouldn't it? So that's step number 3. Now, step number 4 is very simple and very self-explanatory, which is put all energy into the asymmetry. So once you've defined the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actions that help you make the most progress, the key is to put every single bit of you into those things. And this is how it's, the hard part is isolating the thing that makes the progress, but the even harder part is putting all your energy into it. And so what I mean by this is there's a reason in my business up until now why I haven't done a bunch of things. Like I've never written a book before, I've never done a big podcast run before. All I've done in my business is focus on building insane products, making really valuable content, and making really great ads, and building a really great sales team. Those are the 4 things that I've basically been focused on, because for an info business, in my instance specifically, that's where the leverage is. Now, if you're running a different type of business, like a dropshipping business or an Amazon FBA business where you've got sort of internet distribution, then there might be other things that are different to the things that I've done. However, it's all about doing this, and it's all about putting all your energy into things that matter. And so one thing that I isolated was building a free course. And what I did is I spent an entire year of my life, huge energy output. That's a whole year. I only get like 80 of those, right? So I put an entire year of my life into building a free course called Imperium Academy, school.com/academy. And I isolated that as probably the thing with the highest leverage for me to achieve my goal of becoming a billionaire in the long term. And so all of these things that you see me do are measured against leverage, okay? And I put all of my energy into what I thought to be the greatest asymmetry by far, which was making the best free course on how to start a business and make money online with an agency coaching or consulting business, okay? And so that was my sort of bet. And when you find an asymmetry, you are kind of making a bet and making a gamble, but you know, I've been doing this for long enough to think that that will pay off and do it properly. The next thing is step 5, which is to apply and compress feedback. Apply and compress feedback. This is step number 5. So let me explain something. So what's going to happen? This here is the action, and then this here is the result. And so basically what happens in life is we have actions, things that we do, where we exert our energetic, physical or mental potential to do something. Tapping fingers on a keyboard, doing lateral raises, making content, building a course, whatever that might be, okay? And what will happen is every time you do this action is you will get a result. Not necessarily the result that you want. Because for example, the action of eating junk food for 3 years straight is going to result in you getting fat. So when I say result, it's not necessarily something you want, it's just what happens. This is basic cause and effect, okay? And what we want to learn to do in step 5 is learn to apply and compress feedback, okay? And feedback loops. And so what can happen basically here is when we get a result, we receive something called feedback. And feedback, or FB, which doesn't mean Facebook, it means feedback, can then be applied to inform your future actions. And so this is pretty simple, because if you take the action of eating junk food for 3 years straight, then you're going to get fat, okay? And what you can then do is, because of this, look in the mirror, realize that you're fat, and think, oh, I probably shouldn't do that action again, so I should probably change the action. This is the input, this is the output, this is the thing that you listen to change the input, to change the output. Life is all about inputs and outputs. And if you want to make 10 years of progress in 1 year or 20 years of progress in 2 years, all you need to learn to do is find the right actions, do the right actions with as much energy as you possibly can, and consistently see what result those actions get you so you can then make feedback. So for example, the free course that I've created, Imperium Academy, we recently monetized, where we launched it, we got like 30,000 people in there completely for free, and then we now added a second tier called VIP and Premium. And so basically someone can come and consume the content for free, and then they can go on to upgrade to a higher ticket plan inside of the community if they want to. And you know, this was our plan all along, was to have this sort of upper tier. And so we launched that, and we made something like $300,000 in a week, which is, you know, not bad going for a free course that's only been live for literally a month. And so I was like, "Ooh, okay, that's nice." Made the free course completely free, got a bunch of people in there, monetized it, made 300 grand in a week just before Christmas. Happy Christmas, right? That's a lovely Porsche 911 GT3 RS, right? Which I didn't buy, but could have done. Anyway, besides the point, even with tax. So what that then means is I now have feedback where I'm like, okay, when I make really good free content and I monetize that content, I can make a lot more money. And so a lot of my year this year will be spent on improving that higher ticket tier and also improving the free content and doing more stuff in this program because I've directly seen an instantaneous result as a result of doing so. And so what you want to do in life is don't just aimlessly do the thing. Like isolate the asymmetry and do it as much as you can, but what you want to do is be very, sort of tune your nervous system almost to the result you get from doing this thing and how it moves and how it operates and how it functions so you can then change the action. For example, a lot of my clients or free clients, people who just follow my free content inside of Academy, they love the mindset module. And a lot of people who've gone on to buy the higher ticket thing did so after watching the mindset module, which is called Week 2 Self-Transcendence, specifically videos around pain, suffering, trial by fire, all these videos that I've made. And that's a piece of feedback that I receive from my customers consistently, especially people that have bought the higher ticket thing. And so on my agenda for this year, would you believe it, is to make more of that content so I can use it to sell more people and basically continue this feedback loop. That's pretty much it. And then I said there was a step 6. Step 6 is very straightforward and it's basically blinders on. So what you want to really understand, and this is the thing that gets everyone, is when you start making progress and when you start getting results, and because this will happen, if you do these 5 steps before, you're going to make progress. But it's crucial that you keep your blinders on. Now what this means is during a horse race, what happens is, if you've ever seen horses race before, is they'll put blinders on the horse. And so what this means is it's kind of like little metal things that protrude out of the horse's face so that all the horse can see is directly what's in front of it. And this is good for horse racing because what it means is that if there's horses sort of sneaking up either side, the horse's eyes won't pick up on any external stimuli except the finish line. All the horse can see is the finish line. You want to be a horse in a race where all you can see is the finish line. And you want to stay focused on the goal that you set initially and focus specifically on doing the asymmetric activity with as much volume and energy as you possibly can to get to where you want to go. Because what will happen is as you make progress, there's going to be hundreds of levers are going to present themselves and make themselves available to you. And they're going to shout like, pull me or push me or pull me or push me or pull me. And there's going to be a million things that you could do and a million doors that open, a million people you can talk to, a million things you can create, things you can build, things you can do that will seem seductive. And this is called shiny object syndrome, okay? And trust me, even I suffer from it. There'll be 100 things that pop up in my like Facebook feed or YouTube, if I don't use Facebook, or YouTube feed or email list or like on my free stuff or from my customers or from my mastermind where things are just going to fly at you. There's going to be so much stimuli, so many levers that want to be pulled, so many things that you could do. But what you need to do is keep the blinders on. Trust the process. Isolate the things that you think are the highest leverage and pull those and listen to feedback to make sure that they are the highest leverage and then continuously do them over and over again. And just never, ever, ever stop doing that. And if you can do this and you can keep your blinders on, then you'll be successful. That's pretty much everything. If you want to check out the free program I mentioned, there's a link in the description. It's completely free. There is literally no paywall behind it, no credit card required. It's a 6-week program. It walks you through step-by-step instructions on basically how to go to specifically 6 figures, and then achieve financial freedom as well. It's pretty sick. We've got like 40,000 people in there now, and we've got thousands of people who have already got their first clients and are making a shit ton of money. So that works pretty well. I spent an entire year on it, so there's that. Have a good day. See you soon.